All right, so this is the second part of this overview of basic statistics. Here, we're moving beyond the content from the previous session about basically about univariate statistics, right? We had just covered central tendency and dispersion. This is all that was all related to univariate statistics, and I'm being literal when I say univariate in the way of one variable statistics. Now we're in the bivariate world, meaning that we're considering two variables at a time as opposed to one variable at a time. And so these are basic statistics that we use to analyze two variables at a time. Okay. There are three in particular here that are important for our purposes. We're noting here the correlation, the R squared, and the p-value. Okay. First, the correlation. A correlation you've talked about before. A correlation is assessing the degree of closeness, the degree of association, the relationship, in other words, between two variables. Okay. The correlation typically takes on a value of anywhere between -1 and 1. Okay. In absolute terms, when you have a correlation that's that's 0 or close to 0, that means that there's no relationship between the variables. Okay. When you have a correlation of 0 or something close to 0, there's a weak or a non-existent relationship between the variables. If you have a correlation that's moving closer to +1, okay, or one itself, that means that there's a perfect positive correlation. Okay, and when it's -1, of course, a -1 means that there's a perfect negative correlation in all that's in between. Okay, by positive and negative, okay, this is referring to statistical directionality, not in the way of, not in the sense of any, qualitative, meaning of those terms. So it's not saying that when we say positive, negative, we're not saying that the correlation is good or bad. We're saying that there's a direction, a statistical direction, meaning they're either increasing values or decreasing values, or decreasing values of one of the variables that either moves together. Okay, the values of the variables either move together or they move in opposite directions. That is either increasing or decreasing. Okay, and so when we say that we have a positive correlation, what we're saying is, in the way of two variables, that they're both either increasing together or that they both decrease together. That is, they move together. Okay, that's in the case of a positive correlation. In the case of negative correlation, that is when you have one value that's increasing, then the other value is likely to decrease, and vice versa. When you have the value of one variable decreasing, then the value of the other variable will increase, and so that's what we mean by a negative correlation. Okay. Sometimes we refer to that latter type of correlation as an inverse correlation. That is a negative correlation. Okay. R squared, sometimes relevant, right? Not so relevant for the types of analysis that we'll conduct, but essentially we're saying that it's an indicator of the percentage or the degree of variation that's explained. Okay, so you have some outcome in mind. You say, well, what explains how well students do in a particular research class? Does it depend on how they did in their previous research class? Right. So an R squared would indicate the degree of variation in grades, for example, research course grades that are explained by grades in the previous class. Okay, so that's an R squared. Literally, when we say R squared, we're taking a correlation. The actual calculation of the R squared in our case is going to take the correlation and square it. That is, multiply it by itself, and that's how we get R squared. Okay. Sometimes a Venn diagram is used. Right? A Venn diagram, these are two concentric circles. If you have two variables, you're trying to see the overlap, right? Visually speaking, you're trying to see where those two circles overlap. That shaded or overlapping region is what might be viewed as the R squared region. Okay. Most important for our purposes today is something called the p-value. Okay, so p standing for a probability. Literally, it's a probability value. Sometimes you can get tongue-tied saying this stuff, but essentially The p-value is the probability of essentially making a mistake as a researcher. Okay, a p-value is the probability of mistakenly drawing a conclusion where you shouldn't have drawn that conclusion. Okay. More specifically, it refers to the probability of mistakenly rejecting a null hypothesis when that null hypothesis should not have been rejected. Okay, that is, the null hypothesis was true. Okay. So you can imagine that if it's essentially, the probability of mistakenly drawing some conclusion in your research, then, typically speaking, lower p-values are going to be preferred to higher p-values. Okay. And so, in terms of the actual cutoff, what we're looking for are p-values specifically in our research that are less than 5%. Okay. You're going to get a p-value, a probability value that is, it's going to be associated. It's going to, it's going to come out of every single statistical test that you run. Okay, whether you're checking for a correlation, whether you're checking for a t-value, whether you're checking for a chi-square value, these are all different types of excuse me, statistical tests that you'll run. But any statistical test that you run is going to come with the value of that test itself, whether it's an R in the case of a correlation, or a chi-square, or the t, for example, right? But there's also going to be a p-value associated with it. That's going to give you an indication of the degree to which you may have mistakenly drawn a conclusion that you shouldn't have done in your research. Okay, and so really the p-value is one of the most important statistics that we need to look at when drawing conclusions about our statistical tests. Okay, here's a quick note about type 1 and type 2 errors. These are really hard to keep track of. The basic idea is that in any statistical test that you run, you start with a null hypothesis. Okay, you start with a null hypothesis, which is essentially saying that if you have two variables, that they're generally speaking, your null hypothesis is to state that there is no relationship between your variables of interest for your study. Okay, and so the purpose behind any statistical test that you run typically, that's related to a two-variable analysis, is that you're trying to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so you're either going to end up failing to reject the null hypothesis. That is, you're going to confirm that the null hypothesis is most likely true, or you're going to end up rejecting the null hypothesis, which is what you're probably wanting to find in your research. That is, you're wanting to reject the null, so that you can draw some conclusion about a relationship between the variables of interest. Okay, I say that as background because we have a couple of different errors that we make as researchers in the way that we draw conclusions. A type 1 error is when in the process of rejecting or failing to reject a null hypothesis, you reject a null hypothesis when you shouldn't have done so. Okay, and so we noted the p-value before. The p-value is one indicator of the type 1 error. There's another type of error that often occurs in research, the type 2 error. This is where you should have rejected the null. Okay, you should have rejected your null hypothesis, but you didn't. Okay, so in one case, you rejected the null hypothesis when you should not have. In the other case, you should have rejected the null, but you didn't. And so these two things occur quite often in our research. Okay, and so this is from a former student who was having trouble keeping this stuff straight, and that's pretty common. But sometimes I forget his name. This guy, he's what was Rachel Adams. He was in the movie with Rachel Adams, but he says that you must be p is greater than 0.05 because he hasn't rejected you, right? So p must be less than 0.05. In some cases, it can equal 0.05, but it definitely must be less than 0.05 to reject the null hypothesis. Okay. Here's a quick example. Let's say you have two distributions, right? We talked about the basic notion of distribution. So let's say essentially we have a distribution of grades from grades of students in Social Work 310, and then we have another distribution of grades from students in 311. And we want to check the correlation. We want to check the R-square value. We want to interpret these values for now, not necessarily calculate those values, but In interpreting these values, we have an r, an r squared, and a p-value. R equals 0.4, okay, r equals 0.4 would indicate to us that there's a positive correlation, okay? If we're assessing the magnitude of that correlation, okay, I would say anything between a 0 to 0.2, okay, a correlation of between 0 to 0.2 is going to be a weak correlation. Anything between a 0.2 to 0.4 might be considered a moderate strength correlation, and anything greater than 0.4 is probably a strong correlation. This is, on the fence between a moderate to strong correlation. Okay, so essentially, if we're checking the distribution of these two values, the scores in 310 and the scores in 311, and you get a correlation of 0.4, that's a pretty strong correlation. Okay, that's a moderately strong correlation. If if you get a correlation of 0.4, then your r squared is going to be a 0.16 because that's what the r squared is. It's the correlation multiplied by itself. And so this particular statistic we interpret as being the degree of variation in scores in 311. That's explained by the variation in scores in 310. Okay, so stated differently, to what extent are scores in 311 related to the scores in 310? Okay, or what percent of the scores, of the variation in scores in 311 are being explained by the variation in scores in 310? Well, the r squared as 0.16 is saying 16% of all the variation in scores in 311 are explained by the variation in scores in 310. You can imagine all the things that potentially impact student performance in a particular class, right? It's not just your performance in the previous class. It's all the different things that are going on. It may be your internship, it may be your personal life, it may be your condition on the day of a quiz, or when the paper is due. Okay. Finally, we have the p-value. Here, the p-value is 0.04. Okay, and so that p-value tells you whether or not you can safely reject your null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, you may have asserted that as a null hypothesis that there is no relationship between scores in 310 and scores in 311, and so the whole test, the whole correlation test, would have been set up such that you either reject that null hypothesis or you fail to reject that null hypothesis. If the p-value comes out to be 0.04, what we end up doing is we successfully reject the null hypothesis because it's less than our threshold of 0.05. Okay, and so we can safely reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, we conclude that there is a relationship, a moderate to strong relationship between scores in 310 and 311. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to stop there. That was a basic univariate and bivariate statistics. And then next semester we'll cover, really in a lot more depth, this sort of univariate and bivariate analysis.